So, I want to tell you about a phenomenon that I find one of the most extraordinary and most practically useful things in neuroscience. So, research has shown that the physiological decision to take action precedes the conscious awareness of that decision by approximately 200 milliseconds, give or take. When we're talking about such small amounts of time, precision's not there, but it's substantially before. So what that means is that before you're actually consciously aware that you've decided to do something, your body has actually already initiated the process. So 200 milliseconds, that's the same lead time as the lizard's threat response, which is not a coincidence. One might actually think that perhaps action is initiated from the lizard. Yes, it means that the body's decision-making architecture is as old as the threat response architecture. So your physiology is not waiting for your prefrontal cortex to catch up. It's already in motion. And then you work out that, oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. Here I am already doing it. So when I say your body has already made the decision, I mean this literally, not metaphorically. So if something has been moving within you across this series, as you've been sharing it with me and Gypsy, then that might be a recognition which arrived as a contraction, a knowing that appeared before those monkeys had time to qualify it. That is not a feeling to be managed. That is a dispatch, a signal, a message from the oldest part of your intelligence telling you that something has already shifted. So there was a decision that I delayed for years inside my own life. I had the physiological clarity long before I had the courage to act on it. The delay was not wisdom. It was the frickin' monkey's program doing its last job. You see, for a long time, I carried a particular narrative about leaving medicine, that I had actually failed as a doctor, that nearly 30 years of practice ending the way it did was not something I could lead from. It was something that I needed to conceal. And then the retrospectoscope showed me something different. I had not failed. I had run the survival program with extraordinary consistency, and I had finally, at significant personal cost, identified exactly what it does to the individuals who run it the longest and the hardest, which meant I was not disqualified from this work. I was actually really specifically positioned for it. So the shift that I'm going to be making very soon from May, when I work only with doctors, they're not going to be in a different category of individual from me. They'll be running the same program that I ran, trained by the same system, rewarded for the same override, and statistically, the last to seek help for the very patterns they spend their careers identifying in others. So this decision to work specifically with doctors was not strategic. It was the recognition that the thing I had lived through was the thing I was most equipped to comprehend and therefore to work with. So that is what clarity after delay looks like. It's not a pivot, it's a landing. I'm Dr. Jen Draper, former medical doctor, and this is episode 9, the final episode. What happens after the decision your body has already made, and why the monkey's delay is not caution, it's the program protecting itself. So, let's talk about what the delay actually is. You right there, Gypsy? Having a little snooze? It's the information gathering that extends beyond that information. Oh, let's just do one more podcast. Let's just read one more book. Let's just watch one more episode of this series, as though there is a quantum of information at which the decision will feel safe enough to make. Well, there's no such quantum. The monkeys will always find one more thing to read. The not ready yet, not yet ready, just not quite ready. So I'll do this when the children are older. I'll make that shift when the practice stabilizes. When I've sorted out things in the relationship first. When I finish all my paperwork off, then I'll start doing this new task. When I feel more clear on the right direction. So let's talk about the neuroscience of not yet ready. It's actually the lizard threat assessment producing a physiological state of bracing, and the monkeys constructing a narrative to justify the brace. So you don't become ready and then begin, you begin and readiness follows, because readiness is a nervous system state, not a threshold of information. So the comparison paralysis, also known as overanalysis paralysis, a condition I used to love to discuss with reference to methylation in medicine. But now I recognize that it's every overachiever's nightmare. But when you find yourself researching every available option in exhaustive detail as a strategy, and it is a strategy, for remaining in the assessment phase rather than moving into the decision phase. So assessment doesn't cost your lizard anything. Making a decision requires trust. And trust for the nervous system that's running a survival program feels incredibly threatening. It feels like you're going to be exposing yourself completely. So now here's my personal disclosure. And I recall, and this is not a patient, this is actually me, the period in my own life when I knew I needed to leave medicine. I knew it with my complete physiological clarity. My body had been filing the report for years. That exhaustion that just didn't resolve, the flatness after consultations that should have really felt meaningful, the particular quality of dread on Monday mornings, and physically feeling sick on that short drive to work. But I didn't leave. I didn't leave for a long time. I put up with these signals that my body was sending me because the monkeys had this extraordinarily well-constructed case for staying. And that included, well, there's patients who need me. There's the finances that's all built up heavily in the business and the building and everything else. And there was the professional identity that had been 30 years in construction. My body had made that decision years before I honoured it. And the delay, and I want to be honest about this, it wasn't wisdom. It was the program protecting itself from the threat of its own dissolution. And it was painful. But what I lost during those delay years, well, time. So much time. And what I gained by finally acting, everything that has come after. So that delay had a cost, and that cost was compounding, not only within my own realm, my own health, but when I think back and I think about how I was bleeding onto the people that would come to see me, that was costing. And I think most high performers think about the cost of deciding incorrectly, but they don't think about the cost of not deciding at all. The cost of the pattern continuing, not dramatically, but consistently for another 2 years, and that cumulative effect on the body. The progressive narrowing of relational availability. The creativity that remains unexpressed. The body's signals escalate over time. Those whispers become the escalation that then becomes the presentation. We'd spoken about that in one of the previous episodes, the phases that we go through. And you get this window of choice, this window before the body stops negotiating, and it's not a permanently open window. Ambiguity is a chronic low-level threat state, and the body braces against uncertainty in the same way it braces against explicit danger. It's less acute, but it's more persistent. And by making a decision, even the decision not to act, it's physiologically superior to just staying in a holding pattern of uncertainty and ambiguity. So, let's talk about what comes next. And I don't want to create artificial scarcity. I want to be truthful with you. There's a limited amount of time that I will continue helping people who are not doctors. But I will continue my YouTube, and this series, 9 episodes, has actually been a single extended argument. And that is that the patterns you observe are not your personality. They are your programming. And that programming was installed in response to conditions that no longer exist. And your body has actually been filing accurate reports about this for years. Whether or not you've been receiving those messages, that's the place that you're in. And that insight, willpower, and supplements are not the solution, because the solution is not located in the monkeys, which is where these strategies have their effect. And also that every repeating pattern has a lesson that requires metabolization, not just management. And that insourcing, which is the reclamation of your own authority, is both the mechanism and the destination. So these arguments, these perceptions are my own, and hopefully my story has explained to you how I have come to them. And that, wherever your body is right now, it already knows what your next step is. And the next step that I'm offering is I'm going to be doing a live masterclass. This will be my second last one for the general public. Although, as I mentioned, my YouTube series will continue. This masterclass is entitled From Survival Mode to Embodied Clarity, What Your Nervous System Has Been Trying to Tell You. It's a 90-minute masterclass. It's clinically structured, and it's confronting in that specific way that is honesty delivered with care, because I do care. I will confront you. I will expect you to make a decision and to confront those patterns within yourself from the perspective of insourcing, with curiosity, listening to the message that I give. Now, the link will be in the description. That if this series has moved something in you, not as information, but as recognition, that movement is that dispatch signal that I described at the opening of this episode. So your body may well have already decided. And the masterclass will be where that decision gets honoured. I'm Dr. Jen Draper, former medical doctor. I will see you there.